everybody who owns property, it wants to own the property next to them. They may not be able to afford it, but they want the ability to do it. So I said, go there. And then the next thing is go on Facebook Marketplace, go on Craigslist, and promote this into the major cities that are around you, and show people how they can buy it like a car, where they put a little money down and they make a car note over the next 48 to 72 months, depending on how you want to do it, and make it affordable to people who would have never even considered it. And I said, to be honest, the most of the people that are going to buy your property from you are going to be people who are going to ask you, can I park my RV on it? Right? They literally want to live on a lot in an RV. We get that all the time. And it's like, as long as they don't have HOAs or municipality rules that would prevent that, you need to know what all those things are. There's your people.
Hey. Hey everybody, it's Dwanderful, Twyford, America's most sought after real estate investor. I'm so excited to bring you another episode of the most wonderful real estate podcast ever. So today I'm interviewing one of my wicked smart gentlemen. So we're going to find out a little bit about Russ here in a few minutes. But first, I just want to tell you a little bit about Dwanderful. Our motto at Dwanderful is people before profits. So if that resonates with you, you're at the right place and this is the right time. And I do these awesome interviews to expose you to more people, maybe outside of your network, and for you to listen and learn and hear what they're doing. And maybe they can say or do something that will go, oh, hey, there's that light bulb I've been missing. So we ask crazy questions and we dig deep. So, and you can also go to Dwanderful.com and opt in, and I'll send you 4 free ebooks. So my guest today, my wicked smart gentleman today, is Russ Morgan. How are you today, Russ?
I am wonderful, or do wonderful, if I will.
Dwanderful. That's how I got Dwanderful. I took wonderful and Dwan and made Dwanderful.
There you go.
That's how I got it. And then on my TikTok, I have Dwantastic. So it's like fantastic, but Dwantastic. So I kind of just used my name and played around and made up a whole vocabulary for myself.
Amazing.
I know, it's fun. So anyway, we like to start off having drinks with Dwan, and you're having a coffee?
It's
cashew milk latte.
Cashew milk latte. So one of my favorite places to go here in town is a place called Clean Juice. It's a franchise that's owned. One of my friends is a franchisee of it, and it's real near our gym. And so on the way home, I'll stop by and either get one of the fresh pressed juices, or this is one of the fresh pressed milk. So cashew milk latte.
So cheers.
Cheers.
Everybody take a deep breath. And stretch. Take and just kind of let it out and free up your mind. It's proven fact. If you take a couple deep breaths, your anxiety and your stress and your worries will go down. And just do that and hang out with us. And let's find out more about Mr. Russ. So what we like to do right out of the gate is I want you to tell us who you are and what you do and how we reach you. And then I'm going to go back and ask you a bunch of questions. So like the short version of what you do, so we can ask questions to find out how you got here.
Okay. Yeah, I won't give you the version my mom will tell her friends. How about that?
Okay.
So I own a company called Wealth Without Wall Street. We got started a long time ago from a financial planning background. I was a certified financial planner for many, many years. The 2008 market crash sent me in a direction of seeking out new ideas, ways to create wealth for myself and for my clients. And it led me away from Wall Street, hence the reason the name Wealth Without Wall Street. I partnered up with one of my clients who took a liking to what we were teaching, the things that we were doing. It changed his life, and it really created the passion in which we seek to try to help other people stop trading time for money. So that's really what we do, is we help people who are looking to become financially free. We define financially free as being where your passive income exceeds your monthly expenses. And that allows you to do whatever you want to. That allows what we say passion income to be supported by our passive income. And that is something that I love to do. I love to teach. We run masterminds. We run courses. We teach people a concept called infinite banking. And also I'm a professional investor. So my passion is finding business opportunities that I can get invested in. And we actually, every month, we report on our passive income to the world on our own podcast to show what we're doing, the lessons we're learning, the successes that we're having.
Nice. And how does everyone get in touch with you?
So you can go to wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/passport. What that will do is it'll enter you into our community. So we built a community that's offline. It's all Facebook, all TikTok, all the social media channels. It's focused on building financial freedom. And inside of there, you can DM me. And that's where I spend all my time. If you go to the social channels, I'm on there, but not really. Like I really don't post and I'm really not that active. But inside of our group, we have a little over 5,500 members. And that's where I spend my time. That's where I'm looking at stuff daily.
Nice. I love it. So wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/passport.
Correct.
I love it. Okay. So let me ask you, how old are you?
I'm 45.
45. Okay. You guys are also such pops. Everyone I talk to is like, I'm the oldest one. All right. So I really like the Wealth Without Wall Street. So I guess what I want to know is you say that you guys do investing. So give me some ideas of give me 3 ideas of something else that you would invest in since you're not on Wall Street. So, because you say you guys invest, but what are you investing in?
Yeah. So one of the things that I will preface that question, if you will, I'll put a pin there and I'll come in, I'll answer it, but I want to make sure I preface it because I get that question a lot, right? What is it that I should be investing in? Robert Kiyosaki has a saying, there's no good or bad investors. There's no good or bad investments. There are only good or bad investors. And so what we have found is that we've all at some point in time chased an investment, right? We've chased something that someone else told us that was working for them. And we thought, oh, immediately I should do that. And it doesn't matter if it's mobile home investing to Bitcoin, right? We've all done one of those things. So one of the things that we figured out is that people have their own investment DNA. They need to know who they are as an investor. And so we have everybody that we work with go through an assessment to identify who they are as an investor. And then we show them that there's a world of investments. And if we look at what the pros, cons, key takeaways, key factors of those specific investments are, we can align those with who we are and have greater success working within our own area of genius. So for me,
I love that. So you find their yeah, that's a really good point because so I do real estate. I teach people how to become real estate investors. But then people will go, oh, I heard about wholesaling. I want to do that. And I'm like, oh, I heard about subject to choose. I want to do that. Oh, I heard about this. I want to do that. And they just chase the next shiny object instead of saying, hey, I would like to be a well-rounded investor. And my path to freedom is this. So I find that people are very much like shiny object.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, for those who had ever worked in, the W-2 world where your company gave you a 401k, how did we decide on which was the right investment in our 401k? We just asked our buddy in the cubicle next to us, and they said, well, here's the one that had the highest return last year. And we're like, sounds good to me, right? And I think that that's the way most people do investing is they ask the person next to them who's having success, hopefully, and they choose that specific thing because it was working for them. But it may not line up with who we are as investors. And then we don't have the same results and we get upset. Like the first true investment outside of Wall Street that I did, I bought a single family property, a condominium in a college town. It already had a renter in it. I was super excited, to finally be an investor. Well, it's the end of 2006. And it was amazing. It was great. And I was looking at it and I started, I was getting $150 a month cash flow. And I was thinking, I'm winning. Well, what ended up happening though, the college town ended up adding 1,000 units that they forced all the freshmen to come into. So now the supply was completely changed. So I had to reduce my rents. I had a unit set empty for 6 months. The next person got in it. I got flooded from the unit above. The next person got in it, had an issue with the unit beside it. I end up spending way more money, right? And the market crashed during that whole time frame. So what I bought it at, it was worth, 25% less than what I paid for it. And so I was like, this is the worst. Well, it wasn't the worst. It was just, as an investor, as I didn't know this whole concept of understanding who we are as investors, aligning our personality styles. I was trying to invest in something that was a completely hands-off thing, but I'm not a hands-off person. So it really wouldn't have mattered if it would have never had any of those issues. The problem was that I wasn't aligned with it. I want to get involved. I want to add value and add marketing. And I was trying to, by the way, I was trying to market it to friends and family. Like, hey, you got a kid going down to Auburn. That was the university that the apartment was at. And they're like, nope, nope. I couldn't market it. I couldn't get involved. There was no way for me to add value to it. And so I was not really aligned to what it was. And that's kind of what we go through. We show people that when they get their investor DNA, as we call it, and we show them different options, and then they can go, oh, well, yes, I am more connected to business type things, or I am more analytical. I like more hands-off type things. With that, it allows them to see, here's the options that fit really well into that space, and then they can go deeper.
Nice. So give me like 2 options.
So for me, things that I really love, there's 2 things that we're doing, and I really enjoy them. The first is short-term rentals. We got into the short-term rental market in 2020, and we had interviewed 5 or 6 people that were having amazing success. And I thought, this is something we should really check out. We had a long-term rental in our portfolio, and we decided to, at the end of the lease, to not renew the lease with the tenant. We renovated it. We furnished it. We hired an operator to run the business, because again, we don't want to trade our own time for money.
Yeah,
and the very first month we did that, we brought in almost $3,500 a month in revenue, where for the previous 12 years, we'd been renting it out for $950 a month. And it was like, wow, like this concept that we have been watching and learning about actually works. And within 12 months, we had scaled up to 18 units. Now we have 26. And we operate in Birmingham, Alabama, which is obviously not a travel destination. We're not the Gulf Coast nor the mountains. We service people who come in town for travel, baseball, travel, soccer, volleyball, come in town for hospitals, people who are coming in town for business travel, and just normal things where some people are their house isn't ready, or their house was just demolished by a tornado or whatever. And we use a concept called the rental arbitrage model, where we actually don't own but 2 of the properties, the rest of them, where we lease them and then put them out on Airbnb, VRBO, and then we have our own channel called Wake Up in Birmingham.
Nice. I love that. That's a really great. So that's one of the avenues. What's another avenue that you guys have?
Yeah. And another one I really love is a land flipping model, which I think you had Mark Podolsky on your podcast a handful of times, episodes before. We got introduced to him probably in 2018. Yeah. And we're, a year goes by, we were like, man, people are telling us about, they've been implementing this thing that he talked about of buying raw land and now selling it on terms. And so we've created a business through that model. And I love it because it's a business, right? That's what I enjoy about it. And we average somewhere between 15 and 16,000 a month in note income from that model. And it continues to grow. It's the thing that every month when we report on it, it's the one that goes up every single month, wherever those others tend to have fluctuation, but that one is the one that is as steady as it can be. And to me, it's one of my favorite because of that.
Yeah, I love that. So when you guys do like land flipping, you're finding vacant land and then you're selling it to
whoever.
We're selling to a builder. Are you building anything on the
no.
You're wholesaling it.
No, yeah, we don't wholesale. We sell to end purchasers on terms. And,
nice.
And I was just explaining this to a buddy of mine. A buddy of mine is a wholesaler and real estate investor. And he said, hey, I bought this property. It's broken up in these different ways. I sold off this, but I still have 4 like half-acre lots in this development. And I was wondering, I know you guys do this land flipping thing. Like, how does that really work? And he was trying to, in his mind, figure out who his buyer was. And I said, well, do you know the value of what you want to get out of it? He said, 10,000, a lot's good. I was like, well, here's the thing is this going to open up a lot more doors for you. First, go to the neighbors, go to all the landowners around you and promote it to there, because everybody who owns property, it wants to own the property next to them. They may not be able to afford it, but they want the ability to do it. So I said, go there. And then the next thing is go on Facebook Marketplace, go on Craigslist, and promote this into the major cities that are around you, and show people how they can buy it like a car, where they put a little money down and they make a car note over the next 48 to 72 months, depending on how you want to do it, and make it affordable to people who would have never even considered it. And I said, to be honest, the most of the people that are going to buy your property from you are going to be people who are going to ask you, can I park my RV on it? Right? They literally want to live on a lot in an RV. We get that all the time. And it's like, as long as they don't have HOAs or municipality rules that would prevent that, and you need to know what all those things are, there's your people. And they will, by the way, if you were to sell it to them, if you were willing to sell it for 10,000 in cash, people don't care about how much something costs. They care about what the monthly payment is. I said, you probably could sell this thing on terms for 20,000 over the next 6 to 7 years, and that person would be tickled pink with it.
I tell people that all the time. Like every time I do a webinar or a class, and people are like, "Oh, I want to flip or rehab or da da da." I'm like, okay, so you got to just remember, if you're gonna like fix up a house, or you want a subject to, or you want to do whatever you want to do with it, people they don't care about the price; they care about the payment.
Totally.
So we do a lot of subject to. So we have homeowners feed their houses to us, and then we offer it back out subject to somebody else. And they're like, if it's a $200,000 house, they say, hey, I'll sell it to you for $220,000, and your payment that you can afford is $1,700. That's your new payment. They're like, okay, fine. They don't care. They only care about the payment. And that's really hard, I think, to get through to people's heads. It's not the value of the house. It's the payment. We buy our houses, we buy our cars, we buy everything based on the payments.
Well, here's so I'll share this when you mentioned the subject too. This will be my favorite investment that I will tell everyone about, assuming the deal goes through. We bought a property. It was a luxury home. We paid 1.25 and some change for it, subject to, and we were going to turn it into a corporate retreat, short-term rental that we were going to house businesses and corporation, like wedding parties and things like that at. It was on a 20-acre little pond, had like 10 acres around it. Perfect. Unfortunately, the dumb neighbors revolted around it. There was a little community, like 10 to 15 homes. They revolted. They went to the mayor. The city changed their bylaws and rules to govern how short-term rentals could happen. And so there we are, like, oh, so now we have to sell this property. Now we have to flip it. Thankfully, we bought it subject to, so we were able to get it at a discount, and we're flipping it. Well, our purchaser right now, we're under contract to close here in 15 days. Our purchaser is buying it in Bitcoin. So we're going to do nice. So we're scheduled to do the very first Bitcoin real estate transaction in the state of Alabama, which
I haven't done one yet. I keep telling people, listen, if you want to buy one of my programs, my trainings, I'll take Bitcoin.
I'm loving it. So I'm excited about that. And Bitcoin's price is just dumping right now. So it's so I can't be any more excited. I'm just hoping our buyer, they're doing their inspection this weekend. That's the only contingency, obviously, is the inspection. I'm hoping they don't use this to try to get out of the deal because of how much Bitcoin has dropped.
I look at my little portfolio every day. It's like, oh, my numbers are So I'm like, okay, but that's time to buy more because it's going to go back up. So I think with like the Bitcoin or any of that, as long as you know that that's like kind of a long haul, you can get in and out of it, obviously. As long as you're in it, you're like, okay, if it goes down, it's okay because it's going to go back up. When it goes down, to me, I'm like, it's on sale, buy more.
Well, we've been mining cryptocurrency for the last 5 years. We actually bought a bunch of miners that are mining Ethereum and started that in 2017 and continued to add computers. So we've got, 50 computers or something like that mining Ethereum. And we've been, converting that currency over to Bitcoin from time to time. One of our good friends speaks with the Bitcoin conferences, we're actually doing an event in Austin, Texas next week. He's going to be speaking at it. He just got back from El Salvador. He was actually one of the key people in helping El Salvador change their currency to Bitcoin. And I'm excited to spend some time with him just because, I don't quite understand all the different working parts to it. I realize that there's this network that's being built out there that the world is being put on, and we're never going back. It's like the internet, we're never going back.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of speculation. There's a lot of stuff out there that is unknown. And the more that we understand it, I think the more we'll start to adopt it. And I think it will become something that we see as currency instead of as an investment. I think everybody right now, besides the truest, see it as an investment.
I know the very first time, I don't know, 7-8 years ago, someone's like, hey, listen, let me get you signed up on this site. You got to buy Bitcoin. And they didn't really know enough to explain. I was like, I don't know. I don't know what it is. So I didn't do it. And I think if I had just been a little more open-minded, I'm gonna buy a little bit of that. And I'm like, oh my God. But I got into it a couple of years later. So it's so now I'm excited. So I am waiting to do my first deal on Bitcoin. I'd be so excited to buy one of my houses like that. Hasn't happened yet, but I offer it up all the time. I'm like, listen, anything you want to do it with Bitcoin, I'll do it.
I love it.
I'll be excited. You'll have to follow up and text me how your deal goes. That sounds exciting.
Will do.
All right. So let's see. So you're 45. So when you were 13, 14, 15, what was that, Russ? Where were you living? What were you doing?
So I was living with my mother, and my sister would have just graduated high school. My sister was 6 years older than me. My parents divorced when I was first grade. My mom's single mom, hard worker. She was a teacher. My dad was blue collar construction guy, general contractor. He was around. I spent a lot of time with him, working with him on job sites. I played sports as a kid. I was a baseball player. If you would ask the 13-year-old Russ, what are you going to do when you grow up? It's going to be a major league baseball pitcher. And, every other little kid, probably nothing unique there. I didn't know. I had no other vision. There was nobody out there that was teaching me how businesses work or or money works. I was just enjoying life, as sinful as I probably could be.
Yeah, that's fun. So you weren't mowing yards and doing that. You were just hanging out, being a kid, doing sports, having a good time.
Oh, I always had jobs because there was not any money. So if any money that I was going to spend, I was going to make it. So I worked with my dad's on the weekends. I'd go help him. He was either remodeling houses or building houses, so I was digging ditches, carrying shingles up ladders, you name it, painting, all of those things I was learning how to do, which, by the way, my wife always tells me now, you should know how to do those things. Why don't you do those things? It's I make money so I don't have to do those things. I can pay people to do those things.
I know. Exactly. So, one of the things I find interesting is all the people that I interview, when they were just young like that, everybody was doing something to earn money already.
Yeah.
My kids too. I had my kids listen, we're not giving you money for anything. So if you want money, you're going to have to earn it. These are some things you can do, around, because we lived up in the mountains. So you can do this and this and this and this and how you earn money, but don't come up and say, hey, I need money for something, because the answer is no. So they were 11 years old. They had to be doing something to earn money, because I didn't want them to just grow up, those spoiled kids, oh, here's your money, here's your allowance, do whatever you want. And then they're, 18 and they don't know how to make money.
Right. And there's a lot of wisdom in that, right? There's obviously all different schools of thought. I'm with you that we have never given an allowance to our kids. I think that sent a message that we didn't want to send. Now, my kids my oldest two get a salary. And that is something that we built in from a tax perspective. And that salary is actually pays for the things that they do. So their soccer, their swim. When we go, every once in a while they travel. And when we go as a family to travel with them, we're using their money for the hotel. We're using their money for the restaurants, using their money for their coaches' gifts. All of those items that are there, but they do marketing for our company. We're constantly doing different projects with them. One of my oldest daughters has gotten into the short-term rental space. So we were using her her infinite banking system to fund her first short-term rental, then using that money to buy her first car. And so we're doing videos on that. We've interviewed them doing cash flow for kids, going through the Rich Dad, Poor Dad book for teens. And all of those are opportunities for them to be learning and then sharing with our audience of how that works. And as that, we've been able to hand them a salary. Now they have very little access to those dollars, but those accounts are building on their behalf.
Yeah, we had our kids at one time. So they've all, the oldest one's 37 and my youngest is 30. So 15 years ago, we were doing a lot of seminars and a lot of stuff. And I had them in the office, like calling, confirming people, making products, doing all of our shipping. Like all my kids were always like doing all that. But they learned like to talk to people. They learned how to have good conversations. They learned scripts. They learned all these things. And they learned like, hey, if they made a product or did something and made it wrong or screwed it up, I was like, it's coming out of your check. You weren't paying attention. So we taught them a lot of responsibility when they were young. And they're all into rentals. They all have buildings, commercial buildings, rentals. They're all doing things like that. And it's just really nice to see that they're not all working 9 to 5, and nothing against people that do 9 to 5s. But it's just my kids just kind of straight out of the gate were like, well, we want to be entrepreneurs too, because they all decided for a while, we're going to get away from the parents and we're going to go get a job. And all of them within like a year, like we hate working for other people. We want to work for ourselves. So by the time they were teens and they skipped out for a couple of years and came back, like, oh my God, we never want to do that again. So it's nice. It's like, okay, little entrepreneurs, and now I got my little grandkids. And we got a lot of buildings. So for Christmas presents, we give them little candy machines and things like that. So they have their first investment. So when they turn 5, they get their first investment. And they know they have to take the quarters out. We teach them how to count the money. And you got to buy good candy and put good candy back in. You have to have your inventory. And they've got little money bags. And they're just so dang cute. It's like, oh, my 6-year-old's like, Mimi, next time you go to Iowa, will you please check my investments for me?
I love that.
And my kids are like, you can't do that. I'm like, hey, this 6-year-old has 2 candy machines, and she bought the second one by herself. She understands. She knows how to count. She gets the gist of it. So gonna just raise little entrepreneurs all down through our entire. Because Bill and I are both from super blue collar families, and nobody in our family ever became millionaires except the 2 of us. So we're like, okay, we're going to break that curse right there. No one else in our family history is not going to be wealthy, or at least self-employed. I mean, they don't want to be multimillionaires. That's okay. But just, working for themselves. So I like that. So now when you're a little bit older, you're like 25. What are you doing now?
So at 25, I was, that was right toward the end of my first job out of college. I took a job with a company called Enterprise Rent-A-Car.
Oh, yeah.
And so I initially wanted to be in the financial space. Thankfully for me, nobody would hire me because, again, in the financial world, most people know this probably from interacting with people, but really financial companies hire people who are in successful circles. And I didn't, I wasn't in a fraternity in college. My parents weren't a member in any country club. And as they're talking to me, they're like, yeah, you're going to fail miserably if we hire you. And I would have. I've seen way too many people that get in the financial industry.
You're going to fail and hit like a rock. That's definitely encouraging.
So I took a job with Enterprise Rent-A-Car, went through their management trainee program. I accelerated pretty quickly. I moved around a lot. I was in 3 different states, 8 different cities within a 4-year period of time. I married my wife, and she finished college and got accepted into dental school in Birmingham, Alabama. And when that happened, I realized my moving around and my ability to promote within that company was going to be limited because now I was stuck to one city. Yeah. And so that was roughly about 25 years old. I guess I graduated college 22. So I was probably at the end of that stretch before I left that company. And
so when did you do that? How old were you when you did that very first single family home? You're like, woohoo, I'm in real estate now.
So that was 2006. So I was like 29 years old.
Okay. So that's good. So like around 29, you were sort of like, okay, I'm going to step out and do something for myself and figure out a way to become self-employed. And you started on that path.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was I was a financial advisor. I was actually a certified financial planner at the time. And I was self-employed where I was meeting people, helping them build retirement accounts and yada, yada, yada with that. So I was in that kind of self-employed world. But yes, I had not considered other ways to build income outside of just working and helping people do what I did.
I didn't start real estate investing until I was like 32. I just worked. Well, I worked a whole bunch I got fired from Denny's. I worked a bunch of jobs. I got fired from everything. And people were always like, you're so mouthy. You tell everybody what they can do to make their business better. Like, yeah, but I can see from the outside looking in. If you would just change these things, you'd be such a better company. But apparently the owners don't appreciate that coming from like the telemarketer. I got fired a lot. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to start my own thing. Nobody will ever fire me again. And then I rehabbed my first house. I made 22 grand. And I was like, that's it. I'm never working for another person as long as I live. But I got fired from a shocking amount of jobs. Then for back talking, mostly insubordination. They use the word insubordination. It's like, I am the best employee. I'm the one that works extra shifts. Someone calls in, I stay late. Like, I am that person. Never late for anything, but had a way of telling everyone what they could do better.
Well, we have a tool that we use within our passive income mastermind. It's called Culture Index. Are you familiar with that, Dwan?
No.
It helps you kind of assess your job characteristics, the traits, the things that you do well in a work environment. And there's 4 traits it's measuring: autonomy, kind of your ability to work and be filled up by being with others, the patience or pace that you work with, and then your level of conformity. And there's people that take that, and my guess is based upon what you're telling me, if you took that you would fall in the part that we would say this person is unemployable. So when we see people, we see people that are really high autonomous, that they're people that have very little patience, have little conformity, we're saying this person needs to be an entrepreneur because they do not work well with others.
I had this one job, and this was, I don't even know how I took it, but it was a telemarketing job, and it was some company that was selling like vitamins. And they'd run this TV commercial, and there's like rows, like 300 telemarketers. And so if you're in the first seat, that means you're the top seller, you're the top closer. And then the phone calls roll over, and they just keep rolling down. And as you do better and better, you get moved each week. So after like just 2 weeks, I was in like the first seat. And I was like, wow, I'm in the first seat. Look at me. I'm the best closer in the whole place. Well, the guy that owned the place, he had like bodyguards and drove a limo, and he thought he was like all that. And I see how they're treating people. So I see him in the break room one day, and we're not allowed back there. I go back, I'm like, listen, dude, let me tell you something. If you would do this and this and this and this, your people would be so much happier. You're mean and you're a bully and you do this and you do that. And he just looks at me and he's like, who are you? Like, I'm your telemarketer in the first seat. You're not allowed to talk to me. And I'm like, see that attitude right there? That's why no one in the whole company likes you. You're a terrible person to work with. I'm going off on this guy. He listens to the whole thing. He's like, honey, you are fired. You need to leave right now. I'm like, well, you need to listen to what I'm telling you because nobody likes you. And I literally, he had security escort me out the building. Oh, I was like, maybe I really do need to work for myself. So let's skip topics for a minute. Tell me, what is your favorite band of all time?
My favorite band of all time?
Now I got to pick one.
Led Zeppelin.
Oh, I love Led Zeppelin. Yeah, you can tell a lot about people by the kind of music they listen to. I love Led Zeppelin. They're just like, such good music. That's like that just diehard kind of music. I love them too. You ever seen them in concert?
No, I never got to see them in concert. I've gotten to see some, they're in our area, there's a group called Blackjack Symphony, and they covered them. But so I've seen covers, but I've never got to see them live.
Nice. I love to go. I love the concerts ever since the first day I could drive and go to a concert by myself. I still try to go to like every concert I can. They're all good. I just love live music.
Yeah, that's awesome.
What is your favorite food?
My favorite food? Good. Chicken salad.
Oh, I like chicken salad. You're the first person that ever said chicken salad.
I literally could eat it every day. There's a little chain restaurant, Chicken Salad Chick, and I go in there and I'm totally secure in my manhood, telling them I want Fruity Fran and Fancy Nancy or whatever the little brands are. I love it. I mean, that's just my jam.
I'm like that. I have a little sushi place by my house that has like this salmon poke bowl thing. And I swear to you, every day I'm like, I'm going to go get a poke bowl. And I like every single solitary day. It's the same thing every day. It's like, oh, I wake up and it's the first thing I think about. All right, so I have this. So my daughter and so I ended up being a single mom when my daughter was 8 months old. My family's from Ohio, and I lived in Florida. So way back then, she's 33 now. So back then, I really didn't have the money to like fly back and forth to Ohio all the time, but I was always that person that goes for every single holiday. So we used to play all these card games that we made up. And so we made this card game called Which Would You Rather? Now, apparently recently I saw that it's actually a game. So what we would do is always pick like two really awful choices and then say, which would you rather? And you have to pick a choice. So today you and I are going to play Which Would You Rather? So Which would you rather? Would you rather be dropped into a giant vat of spiders or a giant vat of snakes?
Spiders.
Ooh, spiders. Now, why is that?
In Alabama, spiders, I mean, outside of black widows, brown recluses, and you don't come across them very frequently. So I'm not really I'll pick up granddaddy long legs or your normal everyday garden variety spider, and I'll sling it, get it out of the house or whatever. I see a snake. It doesn't matter what version it is. I am not touching it. I'll get a shovel. I'll get something, but I am not touching it with my hands. I don't even like it if I have to kill one, touching it after the fact. So
that is so funny
to me.
I feel the same way about spiders, and as you do about snakes. So I always like to ask that question because I feel like a lot of times in life we're faced with choices, and sometimes neither option is really good, but there's always one option that is actually better than the other one. And so what people do is they go, oh, I don't really like either of these options. So they choose to make no decision. But when you get in the habit of making no decision somewhere in your life, you're like, wow, I never make decisions about anything. And then you're kind of stuck in this place forever. And so I'm always like, listen, if you have two choices and you don't like either one is always better than the other one.
I feel like we've been that with our political, like our presidential races for the last 10 years. I remember I heard a little kid ask a guy, it's a dentist friend of mine. He said, I had this little 10-year-old that came in. This was whenever Trump was running against Hillary. And they asked the doctor, said, do you know what happens, who wins if Hillary and Donald Trump are both drop off on a deserted island? And he's like, he's thinking like if they're in a battle room. He's like, I don't know. He goes, America. So definitely a thing.
Dude, cool glasses, man. That's true. That's so funny. I'm thinking, I don't know. If I'm hanging over a vat of spiders and snakes, I'm like, can I choose death? Can I choose that option? But no. But I just like, it's just a fun question. I enjoy asking people because it's just funny the way people, but you're right. We just have to learn to make decisions all the time. And sometimes our two decisions aren't like the best, but if you just don't make decisions and keep moving forward, I feel like you never really get anywhere.
There you go.
So I like Which Would You Rather? You answered that pretty quick too. First time I was like, oh, I don't know. I got to think about that. So at the end of the show, I like to have our guests give us a life equity. So I have the 5 equities of life, which is financial, spiritual, physical, mental, family. And I feel like kind of everything in our life falls under a category, like family is friends, and financial is what you make, what you give, like everything kind of falls. So when I'm doing my shows where I'm just teaching myself, I always assign a life equity and a quick assignment. So I like our guests to always honor us and do the same thing. So what life equity will you be giving us today, Russ? And what will you be asking us to do?
All right. So one of the things that I have really been focusing on for the last probably 9 months really strongly is from a physical standpoint, getting and better health, right? I mean, the concept of being in the financial world, they say that if you don't have your health, you can't enjoy it. If you don't have finance, you can't enjoy it. So we need to be successful in both. So one of the things that I do every single day, so I'm gonna call you into doing this very thing, it's the 3-2-1 rule.
Oh, okay. The 3-2-1.
Very, very easy to remember. It takes a lot of discipline to follow it, but if you do, it will lead you to great sleep. Our health is actually defined by how much sleep we have. There's so many things that are attached to that, both from our brains and the toxins that are in our brain, given our time for that to happen, as well as how our respiratory rate and everything else operates, our ability for our metabolism to reset. So sleep is super important. Most people don't track the sleep. And one of the things that prevents it is that they don't follow this 3-2-1 rule. So if you'll do this over the next 5 days, make it a habit. I bet you'll start seeing yourself having better sleep, waking up more rested, ultimately being a higher performer in everything walk of life. So the 3 is eat a meal 3 hours before you go to sleep. So no food after 3 hours. That means no midnight snacks, no last cookie right before you go to bed, those kind of things. The 2 is no work. So whatever your work is, stop doing any form of work 2 hours before bed. And the 1 is no blue light. So stop looking at your cell phone, stop looking at TVs, reduce your blue light exposure 1 hour before to bed. So 3-2-1, follow that, and you'll start going to sleep. You'll start that sleep cycle quicker and go into deeper sleep, higher REM sleep, the things that your body really needs to reset over the night.
I thank you for that. That is a really excellent life equity. And I have actually spent the last couple of years like, why do I not sleep good anymore? Like, what is up with me sleeping? Because I used to sleep like a brick. And the first thing I started doing was not eating after 7. Because I would always be that person, I'm going to eat this and go to bed, but then I don't sleep good on my stomach and I have dreams are too vivid. And I was like, I feel sluggish. And then I started the not working, but when I'm working on right this very week, I said it this morning, like I am taking my phone and I'm putting it down at 8:00 at night. And that's it. I have to stop with watching videos before I go to bed.
That's right.
I am literally on TikTok every night laughing my ass off at all these videos. It's like, it's not good for me because I'm not sleeping. All of a sudden I'm not sleeping good anymore. So I love that. So nothing 3 hours to eat 3 hours before bed, which is, I can attest that makes, I can't believe the difference it makes when I stop doing that. I can't believe it. No work 2 hours before bed, no blue light 1 hour before bed. That is really excellent. Okay. So I took a bunch of notes. So the session is called Inside the Minds of Today's Millionaires, and you are my wicked smart gentleman of the week. So I'd like to kind of do a little bit of a review and see if we were able to figure out just this much of what is inside the mind of Russ Morgan. So your wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/passport. People can get in and start figuring out what you're doing. You're 45. I really like, is you're the first person I've heard talk about this, that you have people figure out their investment DNA. I've never had anybody talk about that before. And that is so true because people just chase the shiny object and it's maybe not good doesn't suit what they do. And they're like, oh, this doesn't work. And then they quit, but they're doing the wrong thing. So right. I really, really love that you guys have come up with this. I almost want to steal that idea. That's a good idea.
There's no new ideas. They're all old. So yeah, take it.
I know, but it's new to me. The way you have it phrased, it's a great idea. Let's see, when you were young, 13, 14, 15, you were playing sports, working with your dad, doing a little bit of fixing houses, rehabbing, carrying shingles, painting, all good things to be doing. Got older, went to college, you wanted to be in business. You ended up working for Enterprise Car. And they said, you're going to drop like a rock. It's not going to work for you. So you kind of switched over a little bit. At 29, you took your actual first real step into buying. Was that when you bought your first single family home in a college town, which was also a great idea. And it ended up not making you a lot of money. Then you like to get into short-term rentals, which I love too. Short-term rentals for people that are just coming into town for business work. That's what we're doing right now. We're staying in a short-term rental because we have a health thing going on with my husband. So we'll be here for 9 months and then we're going back home. And let me see here, and let's see, hold on. And, I took some notes. I wrote so fast I can't read my notes. You did a luxury. I like the story about doing the luxury home subject to, and all the neighbors were like, no. So you had to figure out how to do that. You do land, which I really love, land flipping. I've learned a lot about land flipping in the last few years because that was not part of like my standard portfolio. And you offer those out on subject twos, payments, leases, whatever. You go for the price and the terms, which is what you should be doing. And you like Led Zeppelin, you like chicken salad. If you had to choose, you jump into some spiders. And our assignment this week is physical, the 3-2-1. No eating 3 hours before bed, no work 2 hours before bed, no blue light 1 hour before bed.
There you go.
Is that like a little bit of what Russ Morgan's about?
Man, only thing you didn't know is that I like to go ballroom dancing with my wife twice a month.
Oh, I love ballroom dancing. So most people don't know this, but way back when I was, because I'm 63. So back when I was in my 20s, the Arthur Murray was huge. So I wanted to get a job at Arthur Murray and teach ballroom dancing. So I did not get a job at Arthur Murray, but I got a job at a place like it. And I was a ballroom dance teacher for like 2 years.
Oh, wonderful. I love that.
I loved the swing. I had this guy, Bobby, that I worked with, and we had to come in and practice before work every day. And I'm telling you, we would just do that. Like I would love that dance. I love ballroom dancing. That's so fun that you do that.
Yeah. If you go swing dancing, any of that casual. So we love swing. We love the hustle, rumba. That's some of the best exercise you can get. It's amazing. And what amazing date night with your significant other.
You dance for a couple hours. Not only are you having fun with your spouse, but you are sweating, man. You're working up thousands of calories. You do like 2-3 hours of dancing. You've got to get exercise.
For sure.
I love that. Russ, you are just so much fun. I'm really happy I got to know you a little bit today and meet you. And I just think that you are just a wonderful person. And guys, I want you to go to wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/passport and find out, get your investment DNA and get involved. And you don't all have to be doing real estate and flipping houses and things like that. There's all kinds of other things that we could be doing. And if you enjoyed the podcast today, remember, it's the most Dwanderful real estate podcast ever. And if you laughed or learned or had any fun today at all, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to leave me a 5-star review, and I want you to write something, because on the days where I teach you guys alone, I read off 5-star reviews. So if you'd like a chance to have your review read, you have to leave one. And go to Dwanderful.com. I've got 4 free ebooks for you. So get involved with Russ and follow him as well, because all of us are really, you're doing the same thing. We're here to educate and help and teach other people the things that we've learned, and it cuts their learning curve.
Yeah, 100%. I had a mentor of mine that always said either you can borrow information from someone who's already been there and done that, or you can pay retail by trying to pay your own path. So finding mentors, finding other experienced people in the space that you can learn from. So much lesson, so much wisdom in that.
So much. All right. So last thing of the day is I want you to leave us with a parting word of wisdom, and it has to actually just be one word.
Impact.
Oh, I like it. All right, guys. So your word of the week is impact. And your assignment is the 3-2-1, which I love that. And your other assignment is to get in touch with Russ. So, all right, guys, thank you for being on today. It's been super fun getting to know you, Russ. And after I hang up, just hang on for a minute so I can loop back and talk to you for a minute. And we'll be back next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. And remember that the truth is in the red letters. All right, guys, I'll talk to you next week. Ciao.